Over the last 2 hours or so, I've been swamped by emails, SMSs of Kenyans asking me for my view on the press conference which was held by the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga and his running mate Kalonzo Musyoka earlier today, earlier this afternoon, where they presented evidence, very damning evidence, of a plan, a plot to rig the elections in August. Okay? Now, those who have taken this channel for some time will know that I'm completely neutral in this matter of who's going to win the election. Indeed, I've been called a Jubilee sympathizer sometimes, many times actually. A few times I've been called a NASA sympathizer. Okay? And I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the fact that people are confused. Because when people are confused about which side I'm on, then that should be clear evidence I'm not on any side. However, when there's a plan to steal the elections from the people of Kenya, folks, that is non-negotiable. I really don't care whether it's Iko Thuro, whatever his name is, who's going to be president, whether it's Raila, whether it's Uhuru, I really don't care. However, when you mention to me the fact that somebody is planning to steal the elections, to steal the rights of the Kenyan people, yeah, to steal the will of the Kenyan people, to frustrate that mother who lines up from morning till evening breastfeeding a small child so that she can cast a vote, yeah, to tell her hiyo kazi yote unafanya ni ya bure. That one I cannot take lying down. Sorry folks, that one I can't. Why would a military within the Kenyan territory, within the boundaries of Kenya, need jamming equipment? Tell me, for what? Why would they need equipment like whips, equipment to control crowds? Why? And there's documentary evidence on this. I have seen this evidence, okay? I have perused some of these documents, and what I can tell you folks, it is damning. Yeah? This is not hearsay. Oh, hii ni ile Raila tu anaongea na complain. He already knows he's going to be defeated, so he's always complaining. No. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Kenyans, people are patriotic. Let's forget now our side. Let's forget Jubilee. Let's forget NASA. Let's now just speak to one another as Kenyans. Okay? And my first question is to those who will want to write this off because they're Jubilee supporters and say, oh, you know, this is the normal propaganda. Let me ask you, Jubilee supporters, does it mean that you cannot win a free and fair election and that you're going to be happy, you're going to condone rigging of elections? I would expect every Jubilee supporter who is serious to side with me on this and to say no. Okay? Because, unless they want to win an election at all costs, which is what I suspect. Okay? They want to win an election at all costs. They don't care whether it's rigged. They don't care whether ballot boxes are stuffed. They just want to win. I suspect that's the position. Anyway, what NASA have said very clearly, very categorically, is that they are not going to participate in this election until this matter is cleared up. The flag bearer Raila Odinga has also said this matter is non-negotiable. Okay? Let me ask you a question. Would you participate in an election that you know is going to be rigged? Would you, if it was you? It doesn't matter whether you're Jaruo or you're Kikuyu, whatever you are. You know, we're just into tribalism in this country. Would you participate in an election which you know very well is going to be rigged? In fact, you not only know, you have documentary evidence, extensive documentary evidence that proves beyond any reasonable doubt that the election is going to be rigged. The kind of evidence, if presented in a court, would stand up, yeah, and prove something, okay, that these elections are going to be rigged. Now, this proves something very interesting. This proves to me that those election polls are false. The ones you are told where Uhuru Kenyatta is leading. Because if he's leading, why rig the election? It also proves to me about the Rift Valley. If the Rift Valley is 100% Jubilee, what is the need? Is there any need to rig? Yeah, what is the purpose of rigging an election you've already won? Yeah, this gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen, this latest revelation has proved a lot of what I've been telling you on this channel. Okay, concerning what is happening on the ground. Okay, I believe now some of you will start believing me. Because there would be no need to go ahead and rig an election that you already have in the bag. What for? Why do you want to spoil for yourself? So clearly the message you're getting here is that this is an election that Jubilee cannot win any other way except to rig it. Pure and simple. Let's look at the facts. Pure and simple, hard facts. Now, for those who might have missed it, the jamming equipment is to ensure that the election results are not going to be transmitted from the polling stations, so that when they come in, there's no way anybody is going to have any tallying center to transmit. That should be rather obvious. Okay. Anyway, for those who like details, especially Jubilee guys who want to prove that all this is hogwash, I advise you to look at the full press conference, the full Raila press conference, Raila and NASA press conference. I've got a link at the end of this recording. Just click on it. It will take you to the full press conference. Listen to everything for yourself. Listen to what they have to say. Listen even to the questions that the media ask and the responses they're given, and judge for yourself. But for here, mine is just to analyze. I think for starters, there are a lot of mysteries that are now very clear and should be very clear to every Kenyan. Number one, why the IEBC has insisted on Al Ghurair printing the ballot papers. Okay, they went to court. The position went to court early this year in January. The thing was nullified by the court, was thrown out. You would think, logically speaking, you would think that the IEBC would go and look. How many printers are there in the world? Millions. You'd think that the IEBC would go and look for another printer, yeah, to avoid controversy, to avoid problems, to avoid everything. Common sense. They would have gone to look for another printer. But what did they do? They went back to the same Al Ghurair printers. Yeah? And that's not all. The process was stopped in court. You know what happened? They insisted on Al Ghurair, which means there must be a special deal with Al Ghurair. Common sense. Common sense. Circumstantial evidence. Common sense. There must be a deal with Al Ghurair. Okay? Now, of course, the opposition, in the evidence they presented, have come up with a theory which I believe is credible. Okay, it makes sense. Everything fits neatly when they say what they said. Okay, so that is there for you to see. If you want to continue being blind and say, oh, my tribe must win and therefore this is false because it's against my tribe, it's against my party, hiyo ni yako, ni sawa. Endelea kulalia masikio. Okay. The other thing that has become very clear to me is why the government has spent a huge fortune acquiring equipment that will disable internet connection, jamming equipment that will even disable cell phones in certain areas. I've already said this in an earlier recording. Okay, and then not only that, they've made heavy investments in creating the infrastructure to monitor social media. Okay, actually, I believe what they're looking at is a shutdown of social media. Because already we have seen threats in the newspaper that certain people in charge of certain groups on social media are going to be responsible for the comments that the people in their groups issue. The long and short of it is that people will not be free to air their views, yeah, which is a constitutional right. Okay. Now, social media has been going on for a long time, especially during this hot period of the election. Social media has been there. People have been making all kinds of comments, abusive comments, and so on. Yeah, but then the government chooses in the run-up to the elections and around the electioneering period, that has to be stopped. Why? There can only be one conclusion. It has to be stopped because of the things that are about to happen, yeah, which will be obvious rigging, stealing of elections from the people of Kenya. They want that, people to be mum about that. Yes? Now, this also explains the big peace campaign. Yes? A lot of funds have been spent on appealing to Kenyans, peace, 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 which, as I've said before, is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But why do you want to put the cat or the donkey before the carrot? How? Because the first thing that we need is a free and fair election, and then there'll be peace. Where should there be trouble if there's a free, fair, non-controversial election? But then clearly the message you get here is that we are not going to have a non-controversial election. Therefore there's going to be trouble. Therefore the government has prepared. That's what it is. The long and short of it is that. And that's really it. Now, this also reminds me, and this is a bit sensitive, of the reports which I've also made in this channel, that towards the end of last year, there's some activity which took place which would suggest that the government, there's no way the government will hand over power. Okay, just check my other recording. This issue is pretty sensitive. Okay, just check my earlier recordings. Yeah, Google something like why Jubilee will not hand over power. Yeah, and you'll be able to know what activity this was that was going on. Okay, and to me that is very alarming. I believe our country, our beloved country, has reached a crossroads. Okay, where now we have to choose what direction we have to go. We have some gentlemen who believe they're very patriotic, and these gentlemen, if you speak to them, because I've spoken to these gentlemen, I've heard what they say, I've heard their side of the story, they will tell you that they're very patriotic because they don't want to hand over Kenya to a thug. Yeah, they don't want to hand over Kenya to somebody who will spoil the country. Okay, now my answer to them is very simple. If the Kenyan people decide to elect a chokora as president, that is their democratic right. Okay, so nobody has got a right to lord it over the Kenyan people and make a decision for them that you cannot elect so and so because they are a chokora. Okay, the Kenyan people have a right. It's a democratic right to decide on who they want to elect. Okay, they can elect, and they can even elect somebody from the moon if they want. Yeah, if they'll meet the constitutional requirements. Okay, the power is with the Kenyan people. Okay, so if a small group of people is going to sit down and make decisions for the masses of Kenyan people with the excuse that most Kenyans are not educated, most Kenyans don't have a degree, most Kenyans didn't go to school, so we make the decision for them, I'm very sorry. That is crap. And I'm sorry I've used dirty language in this channel for the first time, but I can't just hold myself back. Okay, because we have a country, we have children who are looking back to a better future in this country. They have no other country to go to, and then we have this group of jokers who I don't know what they're up to. Really, I don't know what they're up to. They need to explain to me what they're really up to. Yeah, because if we cannot get a simple thing like a free and fair election, even if we're electing a chokora, so be it. Let the people of Kenya decide who they want to elect. Okay, it's not up to you to tell them so and so cannot be elected. Who are you? Okay, so that is the situation the country is in. Obviously, tensions are going to rise over this issue, and of course, a lot of naive Kenyans are going to say peace, peace, peace. But what's going to happen is that people are going to be stripped of their democratic right. Free speech is going to be a thing of the past. Even as I speak on social media, we already have evidence that these people are snooping around, even on this channel, and leaving silly comments, directing us how to conduct our business, without even bothering to look at the history of this particular channel and to be able to judge whether this is a channel for hate speech or not. They're not interested in that. They're just interested in a total shutdown of social media. They're interested in a total shutdown of free speech, which is a fundamental right of every Kenyan. Okay, this is what these people want. So, guys, I don't know what to tell you, but things in Kenya definitely are not good. Unless something gives, we're headed for a confrontation of sorts, because the opposition is not going to take part in these elections. I wouldn't. Okay, uwezi ona mtego wa panya mbele yako now you just walk into it. How? Yeah. And of course the government is going to deny everything. They're going to call Raila a dreamer. Of course they're going to say the usual things. Raila has already lost, he has sensed defeat, and therefore is talking in panic. We know the usual things they say. That's what they're going to say. Okay? And of course half the country, not really half the country, supporters of Jubilee are going to come out and support this fully and say that Raila does not know what he's talking about. But in closing, let me just tell you something. Out of the small wisdom I have, I'm not very wise, but I have a little wisdom. This is not about Raila, my friends. This is about Kenya. Okay? It is not about Raila. No matter how you want to convince yourself, it is not about Raila. Raila is a mere mortal. One day he'll leave this earth, yeah? And there'll be somebody else there, I'm sure, because the human race, people always fight for their rights, yeah? There'll be somebody else there tomorrow, okay? And they'll be taken through the same thing. Oh, this is a perpetual loser, they always lose elections, and this way they're against what is happening, just to shut the eyes of the public, yeah, to close the eyes of the public to what's really going on. So it's up to us Kenyans to make a decision what we want to do in here. It is totally in our hands. Mine is to pray to God to save our country. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.